You're listening to The Real Reason.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to The Real Reason. I am Oti, and I am here with Zeal and QJ. It's always good to be here. We're gonna do what we usually do, just reason, off the cuff, unplanned, unscripted, apparently unedited. I just found out earlier. Yeah. So Monday, I've just been looking at the way the world is running, and just looking at conflict, because there's so much conflict going on, and just from a wide range of areas. We have, especially in the US, we can see police brutality, though it happens in Jamaica, but we're well aware of it in the US, and the race relations. So we have that type of conflict. And then we see the drama going on at the different companies. A lot of theft is being revealed. So there's conflict there. But I don't want to be super controversial today. I just want to talk about conflict and how do you handle conflict, or how should we handle conflict. Yeah.
That sort of how should we handle conflict? You want to drill down into that for my purposes?
Right. Okay, let's get more specific then.
Yeah.
Let's not even tackle a widespread thing. Let's bring it closer. How do we handle conflict in our relationships? And when I say relationships, I mean with your family. Those in your, let's call it those in your circle then. Yeah. Your family, your blood, or your partner. How you handle conflict.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'm going to say that it is going to depend on how much that relationship should be valued and how valuable it actually is. I say that to say, because again, different people are going to be listening to this and watching this. So I want to kind of just quickly bring like certain points. So for example, there are children, because I remember when I was a child, teenager especially, who feel like their parents are being unfair to them, who treat them a particular sort of way, them to like it and stuff like that. That is a form of conflict, I believe, right? If you want to go like by book definition, a conflict is a serious disagreement or argument, typically a protracted one, right? Or an incompatible clash, or right? Or a clash, right? So a serious disagreement. So using that child example, how does a child, or how should a child deal with a conflict? I believe it's going to look a lot differently than how an adult may deal with one. For one, a child is in the position where they should always submit to their parents, once it is their parents are not telling them to do anything wrong or illegal. Then that level of conflict may look a lot like submission and saying okay to something, even though they don't feel like it, right? So I think from a child's perspective, it should oftentimes look like submission to that. I think as they get older, or even among friends, it depends. I have certain brethren where there's certain level of conflict that the resolution is that we can't be friends anymore. That is just what it is for me. Well, it look like you wanted to say something right there. I don't know.
No, you know,
No,
it's a song coming on my mind.
song
You know.
scene. Yeah, you want to give me a line out of it?
Me and them boys can't be no friend no
Yeah, me do.
more.
Oh boy! All right, all right, all right. There you go.
yeah.
Fambo 94.
From the
Right. So
from the psalmist, you know.
from a psalmist.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. But right. So there are certain friendships where in the interactions is like, yo, what you on and what I'm on, we're not compatible. Zin, or you do something, it could be violation of trust. That I don't, I don't, I don't want to continue on this path. Or it could be a case where, yo, Bridging, you tell a lie. I see you as somebody who has had a track record of doing things cool in my eyes. Like we've been good. So I want to nurture it. So how do I handle that friendship? Or sorry, how do I handle that conflict? I think it's a matter of having conversation. It's a matter of expressing how I feel, letting the other person understand. I can make somebody understand, but expressing as best as possible what it is that, how it is that I am looking at a situation, or if I am the offender, either explaining or apologizing, and or both, how things were for me, and then sorting things out through there. Again, super high level. And then you're going to kind of like marital stuff where there's now a different ballpark, because now we're talking about covenant, right? We're talking about lifelong promises, where it's elevated. The conflicts in those is not like, oh, yo, I disagree with you, so I'm walking out that door. Though that's how we want to treat marriages and stuff nowadays, that's not the way it should be treated. Where it may be a lot of, I disagree with you, you disagree with me. We're not going to either. We cannot resolve this because you have a firm position on this, I have a firm position on this, so we're stuck. Or it could be a situation where, you know, I just make a work through it, make we talk through it, and then make we see how we can go. Again, similarly to friendships, I think. But again, I keep in a high level.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah, QJ.
All right, so I give you what Zeal said. However, I'm going to just look at it mainly from what does the relationship mean to you? You know, personally for me, I tend to deal with conflict based on how important that relationship is to me. So, for example, there have been cases where close friends, you know, they have treated me less than, you know, and just stood me up more than one time. But there's still a hope that, you know, things will get better because I'm a virgin. You understand? So it's like, because of that, I kind of refuse to actually attack, and not necessarily in a violent way, but like to just get to the root of the problem, to find
Let's
out
just
what's
highlight
happening, why are you
QJ just
doing this?
said not necessarily attack. Not necessarily in a violent way. So it's not off the table. It's just, you know, may not be that option.
It's there, you know, but
It's there. It could be.
right.
Could be a violent attack.
Oh, but all right. So it won't be. No, all right, not in a violent way, right? Not in a violent. Let me clarify that, right? But you know, I'm the person that I choose the least confrontational way. Understand? If I feel like I'm gonna probably get real upset about a situation, I give it time. Um, Conversation. I try to have conversation when the time is right. For a family member, sometimes it's easier to sometimes it's easier to have to deal with conflicts when you're dealing with family members, especially those of your immediate family, because of how close you are. You know, everybody is used to each other's personality. So it's like if you react a certain way, even if it seems aggressive to somebody else, you know, the person within your family might not necessarily take it as you being very aggressive because they know that that's how you are when you get upset. So they know that shortly after you're back to your normal self and everybody good again, you know. But it's just expressing yourself in that moment. You know, persons tend to be more on the reserve side. Well, some persons, let me say that, tend to be more on the reserve side when it comes to friends or acquaintances, you know, more than when they are dealing with like siblings. Because siblings, I think siblings have a better understanding of each other, you know. So it all depends. Now, in terms of um dating or in a marriage, you really have to think before you act, especially if it's when it comes to marriage, that's a relationship you don't want to you don't really want to try in a certain way. You understand? Because no matter how long you're married to somebody, it takes you a while because you have already developed certain characteristics as individual. When you come together, yeah, you're figuring out each other, right? And you really love this person, you don't want to come off disrespectful. But at the same time, there's a way in which you express yourself, right? There's a way in which you express yourself. So no, we have to kind of be a bit more careful when it comes on to that type of relationship, right? So how I look at it, um, family, I think family know your true self. Friends, um, in the early stage, yes, they know a little bit more than probably a spouse, but after a while, your spouse knows more than even your family and your friends, because after being with each other and growing, you know, how you deal or you resolve conflict, you know, your method change. So it might move from shouting to having a decent conversation. Right? Sometimes how some persons deal with conflicts, sometimes how I deal with conflicts is just being silent, you know. And being silent says a lot. Being silent says a lot. And it also prevents you from doing or saying things that you will regret.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. So, so what we're saying there then is that conflict, it depends on who you, what's the word, you're conflicting with.
Right.
Sounds like that.
It depends. It depends. All right. I mean, so then conflict is not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
No, no.
Yeah, all right. Good. Um, is when do we know when? All right. Let's deal with family.
Mm.
That can be an issue because I think when and generally, not even just family, one of the things that we have to consider is that everybody think them right.
Yeah.
You know, it's rarely, especially with your family and those in your circle, it's rarely that somebody is deliberately knows them wrong and still no, Mark, you have people like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Double
Yeah.
down.
yeah, yeah.
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 But
Strong.
wrong and strong. Generally, generally, I think everybody think my way is right. My perspective in this particular situation is correct.
Mm.
You know, and so I wonder, like, what is the right way to go about that? Where the conflict is resolved, but yet we still honor each other, and we still do what is right before God, in terms of you know end up say something where you're not supposed to say, or carry it where you're not supposed to go. I feel that is a discussion that we need to have.
Yeah.
While still, how you deal with the situation when you know you're right. What quote unquote know that you are right in the situation.
There is something I learned years ago, and it's something I try to live by to this day. It's a saying that goes, when you know the nature of a thing, the actions don't surprise you. Right? Now, the beautiful thing about spending a lot of time around people, whether it be family, friends, etc., is if you really pay attention, you get to know them. You get to know those people who, when them wrong, they will not admit it no matter what. But I think there's beauty in knowing that person as well. No, mind you, it depends on the type of person that you are. If you're the person that you're going to prove your point no matter what, then that conflict can become even greater, because you have two forces that cannot relent, right? They will forever be at each other, because one is going to prove he's right and the other one will not admit he's wrong or she's wrong, right? So I don't know how to deal with those situations, to be completely fair. In the perfect world, I wish people would be objective and be willing to listen and to hear. And the weird thing about family and friends is that sometimes the familiarity of it makes it that much more difficult for them to even see you, especially from a child to a parent, for them to give you that respect, right? Because of how them see you. No matter, you could have been 50, them are your parent, right? So them know, right? There's a thing my dad always say, my dad always say, a son must look a bass on the voice. A son must always listen to the dictates of his father, right? He always says that. Always, to this day, him say, a son must listen to the dictates of his father. Like, that's funny. Like, first I tell him as a big man, though, that you're going to dictate stuff to me. It's funny.
That they know Bible?
It's not a Bible verse at all. It's a thing he says, Zine. But it's something I've always found interesting. No, I understand where it's coming from. It comes from the principle of honoring your parents and stuff like that. But the problem is, it takes away the responsibility from the parent to objectively listen to what a child is saying. Again, I think conflict is easier from sibling to sibling when you're dealing with like a equal ground. But when you're talking up, so to speak, it's different. So, in response to what you're saying, I think that the best way is there always needs to be a listener. And what I found is, even the most combative person, if you as a listener can articulate what they are saying. So if you said to me, yo, the earth is flat, and the reason why it's flat is because we did read one time, say, a man did walk to the edge of the earth and drop off, and somebody did see him. And I said to you, okay, so what I'm understanding from you is that based on your understanding, somebody did that. For one, there's a wind there, in a deer man, it's like, yo, okay, you at least hear what I say, right? And I usually, personally, I like to ask questions. I like to ask questions like, all right, I hear what you're saying, and I've expressed what you have said. Are you willing to listen to what I'm saying? Now, one or two things are going to happen. It's either one or three things. It's either one, they're going to listen fully, which seldom happens, depending on the person that you're talking to. Two, they're going to listen to a point that them don't disagree again, and them combat in the middle of what you're saying, or three, them can listen to you. But I think one person needs to listen. I think listening is the most important thing that can resolve conflict. Listening and providing feedback on what you've heard. Not listening to respond or not hearing to respond, but listen to understand, then respond based on what you've understood. I think that's an important remedy in resolving conflict, in my opinion.
Yes, sir. Anything on that, QJ?
I think he may be a little frozen.
It's a little frozen.
All right. Just for clarity, can
Okay.
just repeat the question?
No, man. He was saying that, if I put
Yeah.
it, if I try to be concise, that, one of the things that helps in conflict is listening to understand the perspective of the other person and then responding.
Oh yeah, man. I heard what Zeal said.
So,
But
I was
the exact
ask,
question.
right? So no, okay. I was asking
Yeah.
if you have anything to add to that particular.
Okay, so that's what being. How do you deal with knowing that what you are saying is right or somebody?
Well, hey, listen. Even if you, all right, let's put it this way. For me, knowing that you're right
Mhm.
is actually not inconsequential to the conflict. Actually, I don't think that is I think that is one of the huge mistakes that we make in conflict,
Okay.
because we want to be right. You know what I mean? But if everybody right, especially everybody is called, everybody know them thing, everybody's good people, everybody know them Bible, everybody go church, then but everybody can't be right. So there has to be someone wrong. Or does there? You know what I mean?
That's
No,
true.
there is a saying, I don't remember the saying go, but basically
Mhm.
the start is this. Which do you value more? The person or your ego? You know? And I think
It depends.
a lot of times, but a lot of times we pick ego. Even with people we love, we pick ego. You know, and I'm sure that there are people who tell you that they've destroyed relationships like that and wish them could have go back and fix things. You can realize that we never have to really win the argument, it's just that ego thing. And so I think when it comes to conflict, the ego has to take a back seat. I don't necessarily have to be right or be announced as right. More time when I deal with conflict, I deal with it like it's an actual boxing match where somebody off a knockout. You know what I mean? And as
Yeah.
long as the other person, a knockout, to keep on going, cause somebody off a knockout, and it don't work like that. Not for people that you care about. And so if I try to preserve the relationship, then we have to handle it with care and realize that ego have to take a back seat.
Yo, I have a question to QJ
Yeah.
and possibly to you. Okay, sorry, QJ, if I cut you a while ago. Just
Okay.
yeah, you can go ahead if I cut you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, man. What I want to say is that all right. I am still learning. I'm still learning to even if I think or even if I know I'm right, I'm still learning to just allow the next person to express themselves. However, there are times when I would choose not to speak because I foresee where the the conversation is going, right? And I choose not to speak. But then if I speak, it's gonna start an argument. If I don't speak, it's gonna start an argument. You understand? So it's like there are so many conflicting situations where sometimes I just don't know what to do,
Mm.
but as I said before, um, listening to what the person has to say and providing feedback, not necessarily correction or um what's not necessarily correction, but just let them know, okay, I understand what you're saying. I get your point. Right? I may not agree with you, but I understand. So doing that sometimes helps to kind of ease it because some conflicts take a while and it depends on what you're discussing. So one person, yeah, with saying that, you can just end the conversation at that point. Because sometimes it's so heated that if it continues, it's gonna blow out of proportion. So we kind of just have to weigh weigh the conflicts, weigh the conversations, and say, all right, what should I do now? And I think, depending on where you are in life, you have had enough conflicts verbally to kind of know when to do what. You know, some persons will learn over time. Others, we are driven by ego, so we must always have the last say, or must always win at the end of the day. Understand? So yeah, that's what I have to say for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. there are three things I want to condense in my mind. Romans 12:18, it talks about, if it's at all possible, live at peace with all men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hugely, the question I wanted to ask you, and I guess I could point it to you as well, Oti. Have you ever been in a situation where, now again, it could be in conflict with this scripture, so I don't know. You the conflict, or you're in a situation where it is that you don't really value this relationship anymore. And by relationship, that's a broad word for friendships, whatever I'm using, right? You don't value it much anymore. Ideally, you would want an out. And so being strong about how you respond to this conflict would give you that out. Right? Bringing this up or saying this would give you that out. What is your view or response to those type of situations where instead of saying to someone, yo, man, I don't really value this friendship anymore, which I don't think a lot of people do anyway. People don't go up to people and say, yo, I don't value this friendship anymore. Right?
Give them a resignation letter.
Right. Yeah. There's no resignation letter. It's more of, let me give this person an opportunity to become fired. Right? So you probably say something provocative or initiate a conversation that you know could go left really fast. Or one of those things where, and it's kind of this thing that you know in your heart, it's like, yo, this is a trigger, Let's kind of see where it goes. Have you ever been in that kind of situation, and how do you do that?
I have been in a situation like that. I mean, it erupted into something terrible in the end, but I was freed from a certain type of relationship that I had.
Okay.
Very toxic.
Nobody confess nothing funny.
No, man, yeah. This happened like over a decade ago.
Okay,
So it's like, yeah. So I'm not gonna tell the detail, but just brought up a trigger, and the trigger
Triggered.
it kind of free me, but then it opened up a kind of worms that could have been prevented. But I saw that the can of worms as a way out. It was hard, but I took that way out. So I was freed.
Yeah. So in other words, sometimes you
Yeah.
just have to go in with the
just
conflict.
go.
Yeah.
But hold
And you
on.
just have
But-
to go
You just,
in.
you just have to, yeah, you just have to
Yeah.
take a risk.
But wait.
Take a
So-
risk sometimes.
So here's my thought though, right?
Hmm.
I think we've not been properly trained by anybody. I don't know about you guys, how to properly dissolve relationships. You know what I mean? It's like there's no, because one, for example, if anybody has ever been in a breakup or had to initiate a breakup, it's one of the most weird things to happen, right?
Yeah, just ghost.
it's like some people will choose the most dramatic way because it's the easiest way to do it. And then like you have the conversational way, which is always sort of weird too. You know what I mean? So I realize that people oftentimes if friendships worse, right? How do you tell a bridging that you don't want to be bridging no more? Right? Like, yo, my youth. I'm gonna rate you again, you know, so like how you do that, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I think there's
Alright.
some level of I think that just difficult.
I think it depends. I think it depends. It depends, because if it is that I suppose to have a bridging where he constantly does things to kind of just get you upset, and you keep on saying, "Don't do that," right? Don't do that. One of the easiest way is just ghosting.
Done.
You understand? In not necessarily like I say, yo, I'm gonna stop deal with that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But is
get
that the
on
right way
there.
though?
Okay.
Like is that the right way of doing it?
No, I don't know.
Sometimes it doesn't. They don't need a right way. Sometimes you know, cause what is a right way? Anything we can do. The truth is, anything that you do can come off as offensive.
Funny.
Whether it be conversation, ghosting, triggers, anything you do can come off as offensive.
All right.
It all depends on the sensitivity of the person.
All right, I'm gonna show you a vibe. So in Matthew 5, starting at verse 23,
Mhm.
it says, "So if you are offering your gift at the altar and there, remember that your brother has something against you. Leave your gift there before the altar and go. First
Oh,
be
boy.
reconciled to your brother and then come and offer your gift."
Yo.
So you see that verse there now? You get me I say?
Mhm.
How does that factor into how we handle our the conflict or the ending or the termination of a relationship? You know what I mean? Is it that way I say he's no longer my brother? So
Yo, I think that
No,
scripture
that-
still has to be looked at through the lens of Romans 12 at living at peace with all men. So it's kind of like living at peace
if it is possible.
right. If it is possible, no. Again, as far as it depends on you, is what it said, right? So living at peace don't mean that against the eye to eye with you. At least I don't think that's what it means. But I think But the thing with reconciliation, though, you know, is this thing of being placed back into a position of where you were before it, you know. So there's this weird part about it. So I don't know, bro. I just feel like it should be a case where, yo, me and you deal, but if I see you on the road, I'm not going to ignore you. I'm not going to pretend like you don't exist, which is how a lot of things sort of end for a lot of people. But
So would you actually say that to the person or just leave that out?
that is the thing. Yo, I would rather have the conversation, you know. I would rather know that we ease off. And okay, so say me and Otti we fall out, right? My way of trying to deal with that would be a thing of, yo, again, heal Oti one next time, like far, far off. So it don't look like I'm not dealing with him altogether. I'm just not dealing with him like how we usually deal. You know what I mean? So
But that would have come off as hypocritical, though.
no, it can, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not being a hypocrite.
Alright.
What it's coming off as and what I'm trying to be
Alright.
is two different things, my bro. So what I'm saying is it might look hypocritical, but I'm not being a hypocrite. I'm just saying, yo, you know what? What going? You good? Yeah, man, just a check in and things.
Just
Big up yourself.
Man, this a take time and should be out, you know.
Just, yeah, bro. It's not that I don't like you. I just don't rate you in that kind of way anymore. So
Yeah, I think that we should all be prepared, and I haven't needed to do that formally, but to be prepared to formally say, listen, we don't see eye to eye on this thing. You think that you're right, and I think that I'm right, and we're not coming to an agreement, and so we just have to agree to disagree on this matter. And if it is then that our relationship it was word untenable, then let us move our separate ways. It don't have to become a thing that keeps on going. And I think we should be prepared to do it, just out of respect for, you know, other people that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Well, any other thoughts? Final thoughts?
yeah, I think conflict in relationships is a very weird thing to navigate. I think the most important thing we can do is to prayerfully do it. Try to not cause offense. Offense will come in because that's just how life is. But I think as much as it is possible to say whatever we're saying in love, to operate in love, to dismiss people in love. You know what I mean? I know when to not be the aggressor, if you will, out of love.
Yeah, QJ.
Yeah, man, just to repeat the scripture. It says, if it is possible, live at peace with everybody. You will want to actually live at peace with everyone, but it might not be possible. Just be your true self, be open, honest, and I think people will learn over time. Even when if offense comes, people will learn over time to accept what is the reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, the conflict, as we say, depends on who you're conflicting with. You know, when you have covenantal relationships, you have to be careful with that. And then it depends.
Very.
You know, for all things, you have to listen to understand and then respond. Don't listen to answer. To understand. And if you need to sever the relationship, do so with, you know, do so with love. But the final thing we will never really get to dig into, that's important in conflict. Apologize. Yeah.
Very important.
Yep.
Apologize. And so bear that in mind, everybody watching this podcast. We could go more and more, but time constraints. But thank you everybody for tuning into The Real Reason with us.
Leave a
again.
comment. Remember, people. Yeah.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, this has been The Real Reason with Oti, Zeal, QJ. We're out.
Outside.